Resident Evil 3 Nemesis is my favorite game in the franchise and my favorite game from the original PlayStation trilogy. It has always been my favorite. I love Jill in this game. I love Nemesis. I love everything about it. I finally wanted to talk about this game in a video because this is one of my top 10 favorite games of all time. But let's finally talk about Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, and let's talk about like what I like about this game, what I don't like, what I love about this game. Let's just talk about everything in general because I'm going to talk about almost everything. Not everything exactly, but I'm going to try and talk about almost everything because I don't want this to be no long ass video. What makes this my favorite game is that RE1 set up Umbrella in Raccoon City, and then in RE2 it showed us that the city fell into ruin because of the zombie outbreak. But we barely saw any of the city in RE2, but in RE3 we finally got to see the outbreak and how it affected the city as we play as Jill as she makes her last escape. I really love how this game finished up the Raccoon City outbreak by showing us the beginning and the end. But as the franchise moved into the 2000s, we would get more games that would take place during the Raccoon City outbreak that would expand on the lore, like the Outbreak games, Umbrella Chronicles in the Ada section showing us like how she survived, and Operation Raccoon City. Even though Operation Raccoon City does have like a problem when it comes to the story because, you know, you can kill like Leon, I think, in that, and Claire, which is like, you know, makes no sense at all. But there are sections in there that do show us new parts of Raccoon City that is cool. And with RE9 we finally go back to Raccoon City and we get to see like the ruins of Raccoon City, and that was something I always wanted because I was always curious, like, what does Raccoon City look like, especially because like we got that end credit scene at the end of Outbreak that showed like there were still scientists and they are still messing with Raccoon City, even though, you know, you had that big ass crater right there. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with RE9 when they actually go back to Raccoon City. And that just shows how important Raccoon City is to this franchise because it's the starting point of this whole franchise. Without Raccoon City and Umbrella, we would not have a Resident Evil franchise at all. The thing that makes this one of the best games in the series is the peak moments. There are so many memorable moments in this game. From Brad getting killed by Nemesis when Nemesis first shows up and you're just like, oh shit, who is this?
Jill! Brad! We've gotta... Jill! Help! No!
To Mikhail sacrificing himself on the cable car to save Jill and Carlos.
Get out of here! Hurry! Just a little closer.
To Jill ringing the bell and leaving the clock tower just for Nemesis to show up and blow up the helicopter.
We're saved. Down here! It's finally over. Huh?
And of course, one of the best moments in the whole franchise at the very end of the game when you get to choose between either killing the monster or leaving it alone, and you choose to kill it. And she picks up the gun and she says, "You want stars? I'll give you stars," as she proceeds to shoot him multiple times.
You want stars? I'll give you stars.
And of course, one of the best scenes that's in the whole franchise because it's very iconic and it's one of the most iconic moments from Jill in general. We have to talk about the opening scene because the opening scene in this game is one of the best in the whole franchise. I would say this one and Code Veronica have like two of the best like opening scenes just when it comes to just like setting up the game, showing us like what exactly is happening. Because as soon as you start this game, you have Jill talking about like what all has been happening and how this is all Umbrella's fault. And then we transition into like an actual cutscene, and that's when they have the cops show up like with the SWAT and all that, and they're going to like do a standoff against these zombies. A along with showing us when the UBCS landed in the city, and we get to see how both of them got overran by the zombies, and like how these weapons weren't working against these zombies and how they got overran by them. And that's like one of the craziest setups, because it just shows that, yeah, they were not prepared. Both sides were not prepared for this crazy zombie outbreaks, even showing that when they were throwing grenades, it was not working because them zombies are getting right back up. So it really sets up the game perfectly by just letting us know what we're getting into. It's about to be some crazy shit when it comes to the zombies, that even the police and even this military umbrella service that got sent here, they cannot handle this outbreak at all, and they could not stop nothing besides turning into zombies themselves. Of course, with this being the third game on PlayStation Trilogy, it improved on so many different things. Of course, you're going to have graphics and cutscenes that are going to look better than the first game, but it did add a lot of different other elements for this game that fit for this game. Now, one of the first things they added that is like the best thing that's still a staple to the franchise to this day is that you're able to walk on stairs. There is no more clicking on the stairs like at all. Now you can just walk, you can run up and down them, and that was like the best thing that this game added, because it was like, thank you, because them first two games, it kind of sucked whenever you had to click on it. Even though I will say, for some reason in Code Veronica, you know, they kept that function instead of, you know, just allowing us to run up and down. Just saying, I don't know why they kept that, but yeah, it added the ability that we could finally walk up and down the stairs. Now, one of the other things that this game introduced that's still a staple to this day and is part of the franchise is the 180 quick turn. Now there's no more having to basically turn your character all the way around. Now you just have a quick turn. You can turn around quickly and get out of any crazy situation, and that is a blessing, especially for this game, because this game has a lot of fast pace when it comes to all the different creatures that you do have to face in this game. So that one was a blessing. Also, they introduced the dodge feature. And the dodge, it's not good in this game. Yes, if you get good at this, you can make it good, but at the same time, there still has a lot of problems. Like the dodge sometimes kind of just works wonky. It's very wonky. There are moments when the dodge works really well, but there's moments when the dodge works horribly. Like, especially if you're going to get some dogs and a whole bunch of dogs attack you, you can get caught in a corner and you're just infinitely just like dodge. And even when you're dodging, you can still get attacked because there's no invincibility when it comes to the dodge. You can still get attacked and you could die because you're dodging a whole bunch. So yeah, the dodge is hit or miss. Sometimes it can be good, but most of the time it kind of sucks and it puts you in a bad position. That's one of the things that kind of sucks about the dodge. But yeah, you have a dodge. It works sometimes it doesn't though. But I guess it's cool just to have it in this game. Carlos's dodge is pretty cool because he rolls on the ground, where like Jill's is just like hers, just like getting out of the way, which is still cool because I do like the way Jill does it. Like when you actually get a dodge in this game and it actually works well, it's pretty cool. But like when you don't do it, it sucks. Now you also have destructible items that are in the environment. Now those serve a purpose of just helping you like whenever you have like waves of zombies or like a stronger enemy, or you have like Nemesis, and you use these destructive items to kill them, either knock Nemesis down or try and kill a whole bunch of zombies that are close to like a barrel or something. And like the different ones you have are barrels and bombs, and they're spread out across the city. They are useful. It just depends on the situation and where you're at, because sometimes you're not able to hit a certain barrel because it'll hit a zombie instead of the barrel, or like if you have like the bombs that are on the wall, you might end up hit a zombie instead of the wall. For the most part, they are very helpful because it can take out majority of the zombies that it's by. Now, one of the other big things that we will talk about later is that it introduced the life selection, and just know we'll go in more detail in a different section, but yeah, the life selection is phenomenal. Now, one of the other things that's new to this game is that you have ammo crafting, and that's with the different gunpowders you get. You get a gunpowder A and you get a gunpowder B, and if you put those two together, you get a gunpowder C. You have 3 different gunpowders that you have, and they each can make different types of ammunition. When it comes to gunpowder A, that's the one that makes you handgun bullets and also can make you flame rounds. When it comes to gunpowder B, that one can make you shotgun shells, and that one can also make you acid rounds. And when it comes to gunpowder C, that one can make you freeze rounds, and it can also make magnum rounds, but you have to like combine them all the way. And you also get a reloading tool, and as like you craft more items, you start to like make more ammo for it. If you make a whole bunch of freeze rounds, by the end of the game you'll be able to like craft more freeze rounds as you use the crafting tool. And also, one of the other ways you can craft in this game that is actually really cool is like when it comes to the grenade round, and you can add any powder you want and it'll give you different grenade rounds. Let's say you want freeze rounds, all you have to do is just add gunpowder C to it and it'll make you freeze rounds. And that's one of the other cool ways you can craft like grenade round ammo. Like when it comes to me, I'm always crafting freeze rounds, and we'll talk about the freeze rounds a little bit later. But yeah, that's one of the other cool features, that you can craft different types of ammo. And also, one of the other things that's pretty cool is that you can make advanced ammo for handgun bullets and shotgun. Now, one of the last things I want to talk about in this section is randomization, because that's another thing that was added to this game. Because when it comes to each of your playthroughs will be different because of this randomization. Because you have some items that will appear, like let's say like in the restaurant and on one playthrough, but in the next playthrough it will appear in the newspaper's office. So you have random items like that will switch between places, along with items that will switch between each playthrough. Because in one playthrough you might find grenade rounds in a certain section, and in the next section you might find like mine thrower rounds right there, or like magnum bullets. And that's one of the cool things about the randomization in this game. And also, one of the other cool things about the randomization is like when you go to the RPD, you have 2 choices that you can get. You either get a magnum when you open the locker, or you get the grenade launcher. So you have that randomization right there, and depending on which one you get early on, it'll make the game either easier or harder. It just depends depends on which style you like. Either you like using the Magnum or you like using the grenade launcher, because the other one will be found at the substation. So whatever one you didn't find at the police station will be at the substation. So that's one of the other cool moments about the randomization. But one of the ones I really like is when it comes to the enemies. You can have enemies be random in each playthrough. In one playthrough, you might have zombies there. The next playthrough, you might have dogs there, or you might have drain demos there. It's like, it's always random in certain areas. One of the most recent playthroughs I had to like get footage for this game, I died in one area, and the next time I went back to that area, it literally had zombies. And like before I died, it had dogs there. So like it literally still randoms. Like even when you die, it will sometimes like switch around like which one you see. And that's one of the cool things about this game. It's just like you never know which enemy you're gonna have there. Yes, I know there's probably people that have like found like which enemy you're always get, but at the same time, there is that randomization right there where you're not sure which one you're going to get. Either you're going to get them dogs or you can get them zombies, and sometimes that can be very annoying depending on where you're at in the game, because when it comes to the clock tower, in that one room right there, if drain demos show up in there, it's very annoying, but there's zombies there, it's very easy. And then sometimes, like also when it comes to the zombies, you can sometimes get zombies that are on the floor, and you know those ones can be annoying too. And the randomization in this game is pretty cool, and it's one of the staples of this game that I wish they would add to more games, but you know, they are hit or miss when it comes if they add the randomization or not in the series. I love the story of RE3 because we get to see how the outbreak impacted the city, along with being able to play as Jill Valentine again, but this time in a way bigger space, with that being Raccoon City. We get to see how she tries to desperately escape this city while being pursued by a relentless pursuer. And the other unique thing about this story is that it takes place before and after RE2. And what makes this game so fun is the gameplay loop. Like once you get used to like the whole loop of this game, especially like as you replay it, it's really fun because the things you have to do in this game, it flows so well. Because you start the game off in the warehouse, and once you leave the warehouse, your whole goal is to go to the RPD because you need Jill's lockpick. And once you go to the RPD and you find her lockpick, one of the other things you get is either the Magnum or the grenade launcher, and that affects your game vastly different, because if you get the grenade launcher, you're more than likely going to have an easier time than if you get the Magnum, mainly because like if you actually play this game, you know, you craft freeze rounds and then you'll be able to fight Nemesis multiple times for him to like drop items. After you leave the RPD, your next goal is to find the other gem, because at the RPD you find the blue gem, and you literally find a letter that talks about like how their gems were being stolen like in the town. So your whole goal is to find the other gem that's missing, and that's you either going to the newspaper office or the restaurant, and depending on which one you go to, that's where you meet Carlos. And once you meet Carlos, you get a new objective of like Carlos telling you like, yo, why not work with us, because like we're trying to get out this city. And once you meet up with Carlos at the cable car, that's when you get a whole new objective where you have to find parts for the cable car. But you know, one of the parts you probably already picked up, which was the wires, because those are in the garage and you get those really early on, and you just put the wires there. After you leave the cable car, you're going to pick and choose where you want to go. You're more than likely going to go to the gas station because the gas station's right there. And once you go to the gas station, you know, you're either going to see Nikolai or you're going to have like Carlos that shows up and he's fighting zombies. And once you go there, that's where you do the puzzle and you do get the oil. And then once you leave there, and you have multiple ways you can go, because you can grab the compass, that way you can get the battery. And like once you get the battery, you can go to like the substation. And once you go to the substation, that's when you'll find the fuse and you'll find whatever weapon that wasn't like at the police station. And once you leave there, that's when you finally like go back to like downtown, and you finally can like get the fire hose and you can unlock that new area. And it's like the Umbrella sales office. And when you're there, you have like that cool puzzle with like the computer. I do like that one, but also you have the zombies that break in, which is crazy. You use the pipes right there, and like you can kill some of the zombies, and that's always cool. After that, that's when you have your first encounter with Gravedigger, and then you finally get back to the cable car. And at first it seems like, oh, we're finally about to leave, and it's like, nope, that's when Nemesis shows up, and then Mikhail has to sacrifice himself and he blows it up. And that's when you have to make a choice of like what you're about to do at the clock tower. And the clock tower is so fun because it slows down the game, and you have all these different puzzles that you have to do, and some of them puzzles I will say are challenging. And once you get done with the clock tower, you finally like get ready to ring the bell, and the bell's ringing, you see the helicopter show up, and that's when out of nowhere Nemesis shows up, shoots a rocket at it, blows it up, and then you have a big fight with Nemesis. And then that's when you transition to Carlos. Carlos goes to the hospital. We see all the crazy stuff at the hospital. He gets a cure for Jill. Carlos disappears. That's when Jill makes her way through the park and even to the graveyard, and then you finally have that battle, of course, like with Gravedigger, and that's when you get to the dead factory, and that's when you have two different fights with Nemesis, and then you're at the end of the game. And of course you get the iconic line, and depending on which choices you pick, you're either going to leave with you and Carlos, or you're going to have Barry that shows up and picks you up. So yeah, I just really love the flow of the game. I know I just went fast paced with just kind of explaining the whole story like that, because to me, compared to all the other games, I just feel like just the flow of the game is so fun in this game, even though, you know, almost every single like Resident Evil game has a really good flow, especially like the older ones. But I just really love the flow of this game because it just goes so well, especially because like we're in a big ass environment compared to the other games, because we're in a city and you have multiple different parts in the city. So that's one of of the things I just really love is just the flow of the game. And since we talked about all these different areas, let's just talk about the locations, because there's a lot of really cool locations in this game, especially if you read a lot of files and you find out like what exactly happened at each of these locations. Now, the pre-rendered backgrounds in this game are beautiful. They're so gorgeous, especially in all the different areas and all these new areas of Raccoon City we get to see. They're so beautiful and gorgeous. And along with that is the music and the sounds in the environment. So good. The music in each section are phenomenal. There's so many good tracks, along with the music that you hear like as you go throughout the city, and like you're also hear sounds, because you'll hear zombies in the background, and sometimes you will hear people screaming, and that really adds to just like the environment and just like the tension and just like the stress of like what's happening in this city. And that's one of the cool things I really love, is just like the sound and the pre-rendered background. They mix together so phenomenally and they make a really cool setting. Now, the first area we're introduced to is Uptown, and Uptown has a few different things that you have to do here. You start off in the warehouse, and then once you leave the warehouse, you have multiple different ways you can go. Like you have the boutique, especially like if you unlocked it and you're playing another playthrough, you have the boutique, and you can like change different outfits. And then also one of the other areas is Jack's Bar, and that's when you first run into Brad. But like the one big like staple of like Uptown is the RPD. And when it comes to the RPD, I really liked seeing the RPD, even though it's reused assets, because we just saw it in RE2, but like it makes sense that Jill, that's a police officer and part of STARS, would literally go to the RPD. She has more of a connection to the RPD than Leon and Claire had, because Leon was a rookie when it comes to Jill, and she actually worked here, and to me that was always really cool. So it makes sense that she would be the one that would unlock the STARS office and go and get her lockpick. So that's one of the things I always liked, was just seeing Jill actually go to the RPD, because she was somebody that actually worked here and like actually spent a lot of time here, where like Leon, he was a rookie. He didn't spend no time there at all. That was his first day on the job. That was his first time actually experiencing how wacky this police station is. When it comes to Jill, she already knows how this wacky ass police station functions. Now, one of the last things in this area is the Umbrella Sales Office. Now, I like this area just for the fact of like the computer puzzle and like the TV puzzle. I really do like that. Puzzle is very simple, because all you gotta do is turn the TV on and then you know the answer to it. And that's one of the things I always like, just the way the computer looks in the old Resident Evil games. It's always something I've always liked. And it's like when it comes to this area, it really only serves two purposes. Either you're gonna see Carlos show up and like he's gonna shoot Murphy, or you're gonna have like Nikolai kill Murphy. And like also when it comes to Nikolai, he's gonna get attacked by the zombies, or if Nikolai's not there, that's when you have the zombies break in and you'll see the zombies just come in, and that's when you have to fight them off. But it's not really nothing too special, because it's just very, very small. Now, the next area is downtown, and downtown has a lot of different things here. You have the restaurant, you have the newspaper office, you have the gas station, you have the substation, and you have the garage. So this one has a lot more in it compared to Uptown. But when it comes to the areas in here, they're all very small, and like majority of them, the whole role they have is either running into Nemesis or running into Carlos, or running into Nikolai. That's what they mainly serve as. But they are really cool, unique environments, especially like a gas station. I do like the whole gas station environment that we actually got to saw in here. Yes, it's very small. It does have a puzzle in here that can sometimes be hard-ish, but it's not really too hard. And when it came to the substation is like a cool little area, and also you have like all them zombies that do show up. But for the most part, all the areas that are in downtown are not really nothing too crazy. One of the other cool things about like downtown is like the whole section you have right there that like says City Hall. It kind of just sucks that we actually didn't get to see City Hall like in this game, but we do get to see that in Operation Raccoon City, so we finally did get to see what City Hall looks like. But it just kind of sucks that it just says City Hall right there, but we never really got to go to City Hall. I do like that whole sign right there, and how you have that whole gem puzzle that unlocks it. Now, the next area is the clock tower, and the clock tower is the best area in this game, and it looks beautiful and gorgeous. You have so many different things you have to do. It slows down the game so much, because you have two different puzzles you have to do, and they're two puzzles that can be very challenging. And that's when you have the music box puzzle, and you have like the 3 painting puzzles, and both of those can be challenging. You just got to learn what to do, and they'll be pretty easy, especially when it comes to the music box. All you have to really do is just like listen, and that one will be really easy, and you'll get it like first try. When it comes to like the painting one, there is like stuff you have to do when it comes to that puzzle, but I can't lie, most of the time when it comes to that puzzle, I just do whatever I want with that one, because I don't be caring. But that's the thing I just really love about the clock tower. It just slows it down. Yes, you do have a lot of different enemies that are here, because like you have giant spiders that are here for some goddamn reason. This is like the only area you actually see the spiders in. I just feel like the giant spiders were just thrown in this area just to have them in the game. That's what it kind of just felt like. And this is also where you get one of the biggest shocks in the whole game, because like you're thinking you're finally about to leave this city, and it's like, nope, Nemesis blows up the helicopter, and then you have a crazy fight with him, because he literally infects you with the T-virus. During that whole fight, you don't know what your status of your health is, because all you see is infected, which is crazy. Now, the hospital is a very interesting section, but it's way too goddamn short, especially because like you have a regular hospital up top, and then you go to the basement floor, and that's when you you have this lab that has like the Hunter Gamma. So like it's a really cool, unique environment. It just sucks that we only got to see a little bit of it, but I mean in Outbreak you actually got to see more of this hospital. But that's just one of the things that just sucks, is like it's a very short section, but like it's a very interesting section. Now the Raccoon City Park, I like this section a lot because the environments, they look really cool. The puzzle here is not nearly nothing crazy, especially because it just unlocks to like the underground, and that underground takes you to the graveyard. And when it comes to the graveyard is not really nothing remarkable. I guess the best thing about the graveyard is that we actually get to see zombies coming out of the graves. That's pretty crazy because, you know, zombies, that's usually what you think of. It's like, oh, they're gonna come out of the ground, and you actually get to see them in this game come out of the ground. So that, I guess that was one of the cool things, but it doesn't really serve that much of a purpose besides just fighting Gravedigger, and of course having that encounter with Nikolai, and also just finding out there's a person that was like a monitor that was literally hiding there that Nikolai killed. Now the Dead Factory is the last area in this game, and this one is one of the more unique ones in here because the story of this factory is really interesting, because this is a place that they dispose of like all the bioweapons that Umbrella comes up with, and also like if anybody happens to show up here, they also experiment on them and they were dispose of them too. And one of the other crazy things is in the final room where the rail cannon is, that's where you had like this crazy battle that happened, because you literally see a tyrant that's on the ground dead, along with a whole bunch of different like military men that are dead on the ground, because some type of crazy battle happened here. And of course we know with RE2, when it came to Mr. X, he got dropped into the RPD because we saw all the different capsules that literally had more Mr. X's in there, and they clearly got dropped at the Dead Factory. So some type of fight did happen here, and I think in Operation Raccoon City they did actually do this fight. I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure they did show that fight in this game. But yeah, that's one of the cool things about the Dead Factory, is that some type of crazy fight happened here when it came to the tyrants and whatever type of military group that was. Now let's talk about the weapons in this game, because the weapons are not nothing really that's too crazy or unique, but let's just talk about them. Of course you get the handgun, you get the shotgun, but you also get two different varieties of handguns and shotguns depending on if you take out Nemesis. And also you get the Magnum, and you can get the Magnum really early in this game, or you also get the grenade launcher really early in this game, depending on which one you find in the RPD. Now one of the new weapons they added in this game is the mine thrower, and it's not that good of a gun. The only purpose this gun really serves is just taking out hordes of zombies, mainly because like when you shoot the mine rounds, it'll literally like back the zombie up and then it'll explode. And also this one can damage you too, and that's another reason why this kind of sucks. And plus this one feels like a weapon that we should have got earlier in the game. The only time I really use this weapon is when all the zombies bust through the window, and I use it with Jill just to explode all those zombies because it takes them out really easily. Or when I go to the park, I will use it just to explode all the zombies that are right there. Sometimes I'll use them on like on dogs or hunters, but most of the time I don't really. It's mainly just for zombies. This to me is something that we should have got way earlier in the game. We got to talk about the grenade launcher, because the grenade launcher got a new round in this game, and it's one of the best grenade rounds in the whole franchise, and that is the freeze round. And sadly I don't think we ever saw the freeze round again. I might be mistaken, I don't remember exactly everything in the franchise, but like I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure it's just exclusive to this game, because we already know in the goddamn remake we didn't get them, which was stupid. The freeze round's best weapon in the game because it kills everything in one shot. That's why they're the best weapons. It kills everything. If you want to fight bloodsuckers or the drain demos, one shots them. If you want to fight hunters, it one shots them. I'm not sure about dogs. I just lied. It might not one shot dogs because I've never tried them against dogs. So I should try that. I got to see if it one shots the dogs, but it one shots the zombies. And when it comes to Nemesis, it slows them down, and it's the best weapon to use against Nemesis. When it comes to every playthrough I do, I love getting a grenade launcher at the RPD. If I don't get the grenade launcher at the RPD, I'm usually pissed, because all I want to do is just make freeze rounds. All the gunpowders I get, I always make it just to make like gunpowder seeds. That way I can make freeze rounds. There's a few exceptions, because sometimes I do have to make like acid rounds, especially like against like Gravedigger. By the time I'm at the end of the game, you'll see me with like 60 to 70 like freeze rounds, and that's all I use the rest of the game, because it's the best weapon in the game is literally the grenade rounds. And that's why I love the grenade rounds, because they're so goddamn good, and they're very broken. And that's low-key probably why they didn't put them in the remake, because they knew how broken they were. But at the same time, the remake didn't put a lot of shit in there, just saying. Now let's talk about the different puzzles in this game, because one of the other things about this game that makes it stand out is that it has a lot of puzzles, and a lot of the puzzles are hard for the most part. Like some of them are easy, but they're more harder than some of the puzzles we got in Resident Evil 1, of course, because Resident Evil 1 puzzles are very simple, and the ones we got in Resident Evil 2. Now the first puzzle is a pretty easy one, which is like the evidence room puzzle, and all you need for that one is either Jill or Brad's like stars card, and then you literally just get the answers to the puzzle and you just put it in. That one's very simple. That's not really nothing remarkable. And also when it comes to like the gem puzzle, all you gotta do is find the 2 gems and you put those there. Those ones are not really nothing crazy, because all those ones really are is just fighting items. Now the first puzzle that actually can be challenging is the machine oil puzzle, mainly because like you have a thing that says A through D, and you have to have certain certain ones light up, and then once you get the right one right, that's when all of them light up and you unlock it. And this one can be very challenging. I'm pretty sure there's a way to always get this one right, but I'm not sure though. But like, because usually I just always just try this one. I just put shit in until I get it right. I can't lie. Now the substation puzzle is not really too hard, especially like when you learn like how exactly what numbers you actually need to open either door. So like, it's not really that challenging, but at the same time you could spend some time just putting in numbers until you figure out the actual correct pattern. Or I mean, you could always, you know, look it up on the internet, because you know it's on the internet now which pattern you have to choose, and like when it comes to which numbers you have to get. So it's not really nothing too crazy. The pharmacy computer puzzle, not hard at all, because the answer is literally on the TV. All you got to do is either write it down, or you know, just take a picture of it and bam, you have the answer. Or you know, look on the internet and you have the answer that way too. So it's a really easy puzzle, not really nothing too crazy. Now the music box puzzle can be very difficult, but at the same time, to me, it can be easy, mainly because in the clock tower, you literally have two different music boxes. One would be the actual song you need to hear, and the other one would be like a sound that is like off key. And like when you actually go to the music box puzzle, you just got to figure out which one is off key. But like when it comes to me, I'm usually super easy to tell which one is off key. All you got to do is just play with it a little bit and just put either one's up or down just to see which one sounds right. After you hear the song play, and then you literally just pick which one you think sounds right. And then most of the time you should be able to get it on the first try, but it can be challenging for people. Now, when it comes to the 3 painting puzzle, I can't lie, this one can be kind of challenging, because you have to figure out like where exactly it goes. I'm pretty sure there is like an answer online that tells you like what exactly you have to do for each one, but like when it comes to me, I'm usually just trying shit, because I remember some of the puzzles and all that when it comes to this, but most of the time I just try shit on this one because it's not really too hard. Now the hospital puzzle that you have to do with Carlos, it's not a hard puzzle, it's just an annoying puzzle, because you know the one you have to push that metal object and you have to put it like on the opposite of like the other room, and if you don't do it right, you're gonna get electrocuted. It's not a hard puzzle at all. And also when it comes to the code to the safe, it's literally on the doctor in the other room. So like, it's not hard, it's just more of an annoying one, because it's like, why did you really have to do this? You could have just had us just find that code. We didn't really need to push something to unlock a safe to like make a picture fall down. Now the other hospital puzzle you have is the one that's in the basement, and that's the one where you have like the little lab that has the 2 hunter gammas in it. And this one is not really that hard, especially once you replay this game and you figure out the actual strategy to this, because all you have to do with this one is press 1 and 2 and then go to the bottom row and press A, and that's a solution every single time. It does not change like some of the other puzzles. So this one is a really easy puzzle. Now the puzzle in the park is not that hard at all, because all you really need to do with that one is move the 2 black gears to the top, because there's a strategy to this one, and this is not one of those puzzles where it changes in between playthroughs. So this one is a really easy puzzle to do. Now the last puzzle of this game, which is the water treatment plant one, because I don't really count like that whole smoke puzzle, because that's not really a puzzle, that's literally just clicking buttons to me. I don't really count that one as a puzzle. I guess we could talk about it, but all it is really just clicking buttons. But the water treatment puzzle is the hardest puzzle in the game, and along with the hardest puzzle in the whole series, because this really is a whole bunch of trial and error when it comes to that one. Yeah, I know there are like different puzzles and patterns that you can see like for different playthroughs to know which one it always is, and there are people that know this, especially like people that are speedrunners. But for the most part, when it comes to this puzzle, it can be challenging, and it might take you a few minutes to figure this one out as you just do a whole bunch of trial and error to get this one right. And to me, that one is still just a very hard puzzle, because like it can just be challenging at times. Now this game does have a lot of different items that you have to find, and that's one of the things I like about it. It's just like there's so many different items that you have to find to unlock stuff. Like for example, like when you finally get the wrench, that's when you finally go back and get the hose, and you have to take the hose where you have to connect it, that way you can put out the flame. So that's some of the things I really like about this game, how there's just so many items that you have to find to go to certain areas, and they all have like different uses that you have to use them for. Like you have 2 different cranks. One crank is for the gas station that breaks, and then you have another crank that you literally use to get like a whole bunch of grenade rounds. But then in that area you can have crows there, and the crows are so goddamn annoying in that area, I will say that though. Now I love Jill in this game, and Jill is phenomenal in this game. And then like when it comes to Carlos, when you first meet Carlos, he kind of gives off that he's some type of ladies man.
Wait, I have to ask you something.
I know. You want to ask me out? All the foxy ladies love my accent. It drives them crazy.
What? Keep dreaming.
And then like as you go throughout like the game, depending on like which path you pick, you're gonna see that like how this outbreak is really affecting them, because like, there's certain moments in this game where you see he gets really affected.
You kill me.
I finished. Not human.
Wait, we don't have to do this.
Please hurry. Before I lose conscious. Before too late. Kill me! Yeah!
No.
Especially because like he's seen so many of these comrades get killed and he starts freaking out, especially at the clock tower when Jill slaps him.
Carlos, I don't believe it. You're alive.
I'm not sure how we're gonna get out of this town.
What are you talking about? We made it.
You don't get it. They have no intention of letting us make it back alive. Do you really think we can trust their great evacuation plan? Huh, it's just a piece of paper.
But we don't have any other choice than to trust them right now.
No, if we're gonna die, then we should get to choose when it happens.
So that's it then, huh? You're giving up?
No. I can't handle.
Yeah, there's certain moments in this game that shows that like Carlos is either freaking out or he is like calm and cool, but overall Carlos is a great character in this game. If you made it this far in the video, why not like the video and subscribe? And if you really like me, I have a whole anime channel, and that's like my main channel. Also, I have a whole TikTok too if you want to check that out too, especially if you like anime. I'm always talking about anime on my TikTok though. Now let's talk about the best feature in this game, which is the live selection. This is what makes this game have so much replay value, is the live select, because you want to see the outcome of each selection, if the one that you didn't choose the first time. So let's just talk about all the different ones that they have in this game. Now the first live selection you get is at the RPD when you see Nemesis kill Brad. You're either gonna fight the monster or run into the RPD. And when it comes to these two choices, each of these choices have a pro and a con. When it comes to fighting Nemesis, you can either fight him and waste a whole bunch of ammo. Once you knock him down, you're gonna get a briefcase that literally has a weapons part in it, or you can run into the RPD. But like when it comes to running to the RPD, you literally have to go out of your way to find Jill's card, but at the same time you still might have to do that because depending on like where the shotgun shells actually spawn at, either they're gonna spawn in the office where Marvin's at, or they're gonna spawn by the fireplace. It really just depends, because you might have to go out of your way. But also, one other thing you can do when it comes to fighting Nemesis is that you can actually grab Brad's card and run into the RPD, and you don't gotta fight them. That's always what I do because it makes it faster. That way you're able to get the code to the weapons locker. That way you don't gotta go out of your way and have to go all the way back to the front like after you pick up Jill's card. So it just makes it easier, and that's kind of just one of the pros and cons when it comes to that one. Now the next live select you have are at two different places. It depends on which one you go to first. That's at the newspaper's office or at the restaurant. And then when it comes to these two choices, you're gonna meet Carlos at either one first, but like also you're gonna have an encounter with Nemesis at either one. It's like at the newspaper office, it's literally going to be either you're going to hide from him or you're going to jump out the window. And if you literally hide from him, explode and like hit the window, and then you're able to pick up like a weapons part. Or if you jump out the window, you're going to have, of course, a conversation with Carlos. But then at the restaurant, you can literally hide in the basement or hide in the restaurant. And then like when it comes to hiding in the restaurant, Jill's literally going to throw a lamp in there and it's going to blow him up, and you're going to weapons part. But then like when it comes to hiding in the basement, you literally have to get out of a window because like the basement is flooding. And then you, of course, you have a conversation with Carlos. And then one other thing is that you got to make sure you get out of there fast, because Nemesis is going to get up and chase after you. And also when it comes to the other one that you didn't go to, Nemesis of course is going to show up too, and he's going to chase after you. And just know that can be terrifying at times, especially if you leave the save room and he just happens to appear right there. You're like, oh shit. And also I'm pretty sure like depending on which one you go to first, it also leads to like who you see like at the gas station, and also who you see at the Umbrella sales office. Because at the gas station, you know, you could either see Nikolai or Carlos, and that's the same thing at the Umbrella's sales office. You either see Nikolai or Carlos, so it does impact which one you will see, I'm pretty sure. When it comes to the pros or the cons of like that one, it really just depends on if you want a weapons part or not. So like that's one of the ones you can choose whatever one you like. Now the next live select is at the substation, and to me this one really only has one choice that you should always choose. Now the two choices you have is increased electricity or head to the emergency exit, and that's because you have all these zombies that show up at the gate. If you increase the electricity, it fries all of them. If you leave out the emergency gate, you're running the zombies, and next thing you know, you have Nemesis like on top of a building. He'll shoot rockets and blow up them zombies, and he'll also shoot rockets at you. But also one of the other things that happen is that he will jump down from that building, he will chase you. So this one really depends on, do you want to fight Nemesis and more enemies, because all those zombies that you didn't kill, now they're going to appear in the substation, especially depending on which door you opened up. You have to go back in there to either get the fuse or the grenade launcher or Madden, whatever one's there. So that's kind of the pros and cons, because like if you electrocute the fence, you have no enemies that you have to fight, and you don't have an encounter with Nemesis. It really just depends. Do you want to fight Nemesis and have him drop an item, that way you can can get a new item, or do you want to just have like a carefree thing where you're able just to leave the substation and not have to fight no enemies at all? That's really the pros and cons to it. I always just electrocute the fence, that way I don't got to deal with all those zombies and I don't got to deal with Nemesis. Now the next one is one of the most pointless life selection in like the whole game, and that is the garage. It really doesn't serve no purpose besides just like showing us like foreshadowing like Gravedigger, because like the two choices you have is literally to climb up or drop down, because you have crates coming at you. If you drop down, you're literally going to see like the shell of like Gravedigger. That's literally it. It really isn't that important to me. It's kind of one of these ones they just kind of force you to do because there's no reason to do it. You should always just climb up, that way you don't gotta go underground, because you go underground and then you're outside the garage and you gotta go right back into the garage, so it's very pointless. They really want us to like see Gravedigger down there, to have some foreshadowing to, oh, there's gonna be a big worm. They could have just forced us to go down there, just saying. Now the next choice is one that that's very impactful, because it depends on how you're gonna do the clock tower, and that's when Mikhail sacrifices himself and like blows up, and now the cable car is about to crash. It's either you're gonna jump out the window or you're gonna use the cable car. This is my favorite life selection, because like when Jill jumps out the window, it's so goddamn funny, because like Carlos was just there and she's like, yeah, I'm not dealing with this shit, bye, and then she jumps out the window. If you use the emergency brake, she literally just crashes into like the courtyard of the clock tower. Now these two choices are going to make your playthrough of this vastly different. If you jump out of the cable car, you're literally going to be inside the clock tower. You're going to get a key, and then like once you leave the save room and you exit, that's when you're going to run into Carlos, and when you run into Carlos, he's going to give you freeze rounds, and that whole area you're at is not going to have no zombies, and you don't have to deal with zombies in that area. So that's one of the perks, is that you get freeze rounds and you don't have zombies in that area that you met with Carlos. There is a downside of this one, is like after you leave the main hall of the clock tower, in that room right there could either be zombies or drain demos, and drain demos can suck in there because there's like 3 in there. And also like when it comes to like that dining room area, you could also like find grenade rounds there, or in that other area I think it's like the library, you can find grenade rounds there. It just depends. They usually switch between playthroughs, so that's one of the downsides. And also one of the other differences is that at the end of the clock tower, when you fight Nemesis, you're fighting him by yourself. That's one of the other differences too, and he'll have his grenade launcher. Now when it comes to the other choice of you using the emergency brake, in this one you start in the courtyard, you have to run into the chapel, that way you can get the key, and once you exit that, that's when of course you're gonna have the zombies that break through the windows. But then once you go into the dining room area, that's when you're gonna have a talk with Carlos. But when you have this talk with Carlos, that's when Jill's gonna slap the shit out of him, because Carlos is freaking out. And then in that area, you won't have no zombies or drain demos that appear there, so that's one of the differences. And also when it comes to the fight with Nemesis, you'll literally have Carlos show up to help you, and he'll blow up Nemesis' grenade launcher. Now when it comes to the Nemesis fight in this one, I will say, to me, the fight with him in the rocket launcher is easier than him without the rocket launcher, because when he does not have the rocket launcher, he's running at you full speed and hitting you. But when he has the rocket launcher, you can run to certain areas and just have him waste all his rockets, or like you can just use them with freeze rounds, especially if you're using freeze rounds. Freeze rounds makes this fight very easily. So I mean, that's why to me, him having the rocket launcher is easier to deal with, because I just hit him with freeze rounds. But at the same time, either one is going to be difficult, and especially if you don't have him waste all his rockets, them rockets do hit you hard and they do almost kill you. So that's one of the downsides, I will say, of him still having the rocket launcher. Now one of the other ones that's in the clock tower is on the clock tower's balcony. It's either you use the light or you use the cord. And the way these ones impact is like, if you use the cord, it's going to electrocute Nemesis and you're able to pick up an item, or if you use the light, he's literally going to fall off like the clock tower. And the real difference with this one is like, do you want to deal with Nemesis or do you not want to deal with him? Because he will literally wake up and he will chase you around the clock tower for a certain point, but if you push him off, you don't got to deal with him at all. I usually just push him off unless I really need an item, but most of the time I just push him off, that way I don't got to deal with him, because he does wake up pretty fast and chases you. But also if he does wake up, you won't have spiders in that hallway right there, so that's one of the perks, I guess. Now one of the other ones you have is the river bridge. Now you have 2 choices here. It's either you jump off or you push Nemesis. Now these two do have different outcomes, because if you jump off, you literally arrive like in the basement area and you're able to do the water treatment plant, and like also you will run into Carlos and Carlos will kill a whole bunch of zombies, so that's one of the other options. And also this one will lead to a certain ending, because if you choose this one, it will lead to the ending where Barry picks you up. And also one of the other things is that at the entrance of the dead factory, you literally have like drain demos that appear there, and that's one of the things that will appear since you jumped off the bridge. And also one of the other things that you have is that you'll see Nikolai, and like he'll literally go behind the door and like the shutters were closed behind him. Also one of the other main differences is that you have like the thing that unlocks like the disposal room. Now if you push Nemesis off the bridge, main area you arrive in, there's going to be no drain demos there at all. And one of the other big factors is that you're going to see Nikolai get killed. And also one of the other big differences is that Jill and Carlos are going to leave in a helicopter, and you're not going to have Barry pick them up, so that's one of the other big differences. Now this live selection only appears if you jumped off the bridge, and that is one with Nikolai. Either you're going to fire back at the helicopter, or you're gonna negotiate with him. Now, if you fire back at the helicopter, you kill Nikolai. If you don't, Nikolai just takes off. It just depends on if you want to kill him. It doesn't really impact the game that much. It just depends on if you want him to live or you want him to die. Most of the time, I just kill him because you know you can get the rocket launcher in this game and you can just kill him that way, or you can shoot him with magnum rounds and he'll die too. Now, the last one in this game, it only has one choice, and it's the choice you always choose. You never choose the other one, and that is to either exterminate the monster or leave. You're always going to exterminate the monster because you want Jill to say that iconic line. So you're always going to pick that one. If you choose that other one, you're tripping. I don't even know what happens if you choose that other one because I've never seen it. I always choose to eliminate it because I want her to say, you want stars, I'm going to give you stars. I always want to hear that. Yeah, so yeah, I never choose that other option at all. Now, when it comes to this live selection, it is a really cool feature, and it is a feature that I wish they would have kept in the series, especially because, you know, like since this game been made, there's a lot of games that basically use like the whole choice system. So I kind of just wish, you know, maybe in a remake they could have done a whole choice system, but you know, they're too goddamn lazy. But I digress. Live selection is pretty cool and it adds a lot of replayability to this game. Yes, there are some that are important. Yes, there are some that are just like, why did they include this in the game? Like the garage one was not really needed, like at all. But overall, when it comes to the live selections, you know which ones are better than the others, especially like when you're doing a playthrough, which ones you want to see, and depending on which scenes you want to see, because you might play a game, you might never see like the whole like Carlos killing Murphy because like you might not choose the right thing. It just adds a lot of more replayability to the game. Now let's talk about the most important character of this game and like the whole cover of this game, and that is Nemesis. Nemesis is a crazy, scary, stressful pursuer in this game. Yeah, a lot of his stuff is scripted, but at the same time, a lot of that is scary. Because there was one time I left the save room and he just appeared right there. I was like, what? That's the thing that makes him frightening as a pursuer, is because there's certain instances, yeah, it's scripted, but like he will appear and you're just like, oh shit, because he'll run full force at you. That's the problem. He will run full force at you and attack you, and usually he hits really hard. And if you get knocked on the ground, you have to hurry up and get up or he will grab you. And if that happens enough, he'll literally grab you and literally kill you like the same way he did Brad. And that's one of the things that just makes him very stressful, is just having to deal with him. As you play the game, you'll know how to deal with him because you know which way you have to run, that way you won't get hit. And sometimes there's RNG when it comes to that, especially like when he shows up in that one pathway that's like the city hall pathway that leads to like the cable car. There's certain times where I'm able to run from him and not get hit, but there's certain times where he somehow still hits me, and that's so goddamn annoying. But overall, he is a very good pursuer, and he's an upgrade from Mr. X, of course, like in RE2, and that's one of the best things about him, is just like they actually went out of their way and made one of the best pursuers ever. And also when it comes to his rocket launcher, there are certain situations where he can be annoying, especially after you leave like the Umbrella sales office. He'll have his rocket launcher, and there are certain times where he will run full force and hit you with a rocket, because there's certain scenarios where you think he's about to show up and he doesn't show up, and then you find out he's like, oh no, he's at this one. And that's one of the things I like about the game, is because like you'll play this game 2 times in a row, and then like the 3rd time you play this, you'll think Nemesis is about to show up at this part, and it's like, nope, they actually did it different. And that's one of the shocking things about it that makes him more terrifying. Now when it comes to his boss fights, if you have freeze rounds, you're not going to struggle with them. He's still going to hit harder, of course, and that's one of the things that sucks, because like the one at the clock tower, that one can suck because either he's going to have the rocket launcher, or if he doesn't have the rocket launcher, he's going to be hitting you, and like when you get on the ground, you always have that chance he's going to grab you again, and that's why it can really suck like when it comes to those boss fights. And then when it comes to just fighting him like randomly on the street or just like an RPD, and it's about the same, it's going to be annoying. But if you got freeze rounds or enough ammo, or if you're dodging, even though you know the dodge is going to sometimes suck too, you'll be able to knock him down. And once you knock him down, you know that's when you're able to pick up all those different items. And you know that's either where you get, I think, like the Eagle pistol, or you get like the one shotgun, or you know you can get like that one thing that can carry like 3 med sprays, and I think eventually you do get like infinite ammo. So there's perks of fighting him, but at the same time, if you're just trying to play a game and have fun, there's no reason really to fight him, and you could probably just get items for free like at some of the live selections if you want it that way. Now when it comes to this fight at the Dead Factory, that one's a really interesting fight, mainly because you have the pipes that are literally spray acid on him like if you shoot them, and that's one of the things that can like melt him down and make the fight easier. But most of the time when it comes to me, I'm just using freeze rounds, because that's all I use against Nemesis is freeze rounds. But it can be challenging because now he has all those goddamn tentacles, and that's one of the things that can suck. And also when you're leaving the clock tower, one of the things that can suck is when you're going to the main hall and you're finally about to exit to that door, and he uses his long ass tentacles to grab you. Oh, that is so stressful, because like if you make one mistake and you hit one item over there when it comes to the rubble, he will get you and you won't make it to the door. And that's one of the things that does suck about like him in like his second form, in the tentacle form. That does suck. Now when it comes to the final fight with Nemesis, this one is a pretty cool fight because you're using the rail cannon, but also it can suck when it comes to like him shooting like acid at you. That's the only part of it that really sucks, but overall it is a really good fight. It just sucks like when you get hit with the acid, but it's a really good final boss fight because like all you're doing is like you're trying to like lure him into the rail cannon, and especially like when you first do it, there are a few times you can get trapped by him, and if you're close by him, he's gonna hit you with your tentacles and he's gonna hit hard. But for the most part, it's a pretty easy boss fight because you can lure him pretty easy because dude is run in the direction of the rail cannon. The only time that won't really work is if he's just like on top of like the whole generator thing, whatever that is right there. If he's on top of that, that's going to take a minute. You got to wait for him to get down. But if he's just following you all the way as he's crawling trying to get you, then you can lure him into the rail cannon pretty easily. But I do like this boss fight a lot. I think it's really unique. Sadly, you know, we didn't get nothing as cool as this in the remake. You know, we got like a, you know, a stupid area, just saying. But I digress. But overall, Nemesis is a really great pursuer, and he's still one of the best pursuers like in the whole franchise. And you see that they're always trying to chase that lightning in the bottle when it comes to like how they made Nemesis in this game. And I will say they did achieve it with Mr. X, and of course they did not achieve it with the remake Nemesis, just saying. Now, when it comes to Nikolai is a very interesting person because you can tell that he's very evil and cruel. Because one of the things we know about Nikolai is that he set up everybody, like all the people that were part of the UBCS, he set them up because we know he only thinks of himself and how he can put more money in his pockets. And especially because, you know, there's other games that highlight everything about him, especially with Outbreak and Operation Raccoon City, because those two games really do highlight how evil he really was. Because in this game we got to see like little hints to it. When it comes to Gravedigger sucks, especially the first encounter with him, because that area sucks so bad because if Gravedigger hits you, it can put you down to basically low health, and that area is annoying because mainly, you know, in that area you got to turn the power on and then you have to like drop the stairs, and that way you have to go up the stairs, and that can suck because the Gravedigger is trying to hit you. And the way you really counter this is basically hit it with acid rounds, or, you know, if you use a whole bunch of ammo, you can actually like make it like go away. But it sucks so much, and this one is very RNG on if you can actually get to the ladder or not, and that's why that first encounter really sucks. Now, when it comes to the boss fight at the graveyard, this one is hit or miss. It can be annoying because the Gravedigger hits really hard. Like, that fight can be very situational because I'll have like 9 acid rounds and somehow it will take all 9 acid rounds and even like almost all my flame rounds to kill it. And like the way you really do this one is that you're supposed to lure it into like a light post and it's supposed to electrocute it, but the way I always do it is I just kill it with a whole bunch of grenade rounds and then eventually it dies. I don't think I've ever done the thing where he actually does drop like the light post because I'm usually just killing it with grenade rounds. Now, this game has a lot of enemies in here. Yes, you have a lot of enemies that are old, but it also does introduce a lot of new enemies. Now, when it comes to one of the old enemies, the zombies are way faster than the first 2 games because these zombies can go turbo. If you don't shoot them and stun them, they will go turbo and they will attack you, and that's what makes them crazier in this game. Zombie dogs are the same. Now, the hunters in this game, they look very different than what they looked like in RE1. They have like, they're red and have all those bumps on them. Also, you have hunter gammas, and hunter gammas can like swallow you whole, and like they're pretty cool. I like them because like they're frogs / toads. I do like their design a lot. Now, the 2 new enemies they introduced in this game are the Drain Demos and the Bloodsuckers, and the Bloodsuckers are a mutation of the Drain Demos. And like the reason why you really know this is because there's certain areas where the Drain Demos will be at, and the next thing you know, you'll come back later and there'll be Bloodsuckers there, and they're literally the same enemy, just different designs. Like, there's not really much difference to them. They just have different designs and they attack you the same, and they can be annoying. But if you have a magnum round or if you have freeze rounds, you can kill them in one hit. And also, you have the worms that you can encounter, and most of the time you encounter these either like in the park or you're encounter these like down in the sewer type of areas, and they're just annoying because they're stick to you and suck blood out of you, and they're just annoying. And of course, you have the giant spiders, and they're just in this game just to be in this game, honestly. Now, some of the small details that I thought were really cool in this game is that at a certain point early on in the game, or if you come back later in the game, like in Uptown, you'll see a woman that's literally running away, and you'll hear her scream for help. And then like once you go find her, you literally see that she got killed by a zombie, and that sucks. And you have little moments like that in this game. And also, there's like little details like when you have like Brad running out of that one room where you can get the shotgun, or you have the little scenes where you see Carlos for a quick second as he's shooting at zombies and running away. So there's little cool moments like this that is included in this game that I thought was really cool, and it just adds little details to the game to make the world actually feel alive. And one of the other cool things is that when it comes to the zombies in different areas will have different clothes for that will match that area. So like when you're in the area that's like City Hall, you literally have zombies that have suits on, and that's really cool. And of course, like when you're towards the RPD, you're gonna have zombies that are of course wearing police uniforms, and also in some of the other areas you're gonna have zombies that are just wearing regular clothes. And that's one of the things I really liked about just some of the uniqueness when it came to just like the different zombie designs when it comes to just the different clothes they're wearing. And also, you have fat zombies in this game too, so you have zombies that are thick and fat. Now, one of the other cool camera angles you can get in this game is that after taking taking down Nemesis, and like when you run back into that one room, if you literally look down, you'll see down below in the acid area, you'll see bubbles right there, and that's literally foreshadowing that Nemesis is still alive. And that's one of the cool camera angles I like in the game, and it highlights those bubbles because they want you to see those bubbles. Now, one of the other things you can unlock in this game are outfits. You have different outfits that you can unlock depending on if you get E rank or higher. You have outfits that you can unlock, and you have a boutique that you can go to, and you literally get a key. And that's one of the cool things, is that you have an area that you can change into just different outfits, because you know in some games the way you change in outfits is literally, you know, from the menu and all that, but in this one you get a whole bunch of different choices, and that was one of the things I really liked, is like you actually get choices. It's kind of similar to like RE1, where you know in RE1 you got that in choices too, how you had that key and you went into that one room, you could actually change. It's similar to that, but with this one you actually just have like all the outfits right there just lined up. And like the PC version, you got 2 extra outfits compared to just like the PlayStation version. Now, one of the cool scenes you can get in this game if you go back to the cable car is if you take the fuse and go back to Mikhail, you'll literally see Mikhail there fighting zombies, and that's a really cool scene that you can unlock if you go back early. And that's one of the other like cool things I love about this game, is that you have all these little scenes that you can get if you actually go out of your way. Now, one of the last things I do have to talk about that makes this game very replayable is the epilogues, because after you beat the game on regular and not on assault mode, you literally get epilogues, and each of these epilogues literally highlights what all the characters are doing after Raccoon City. You literally have Jill, Chris, Barry, Leon, Claire, Sherry, Ada, and Hunk. And it's like some reason you don't have Rebecca. It makes no sense like why they didn't include those ones, especially Rebecca. And that kind of sucks, especially because we didn't really know what Rebecca was doing for years until kind of like the movies, and I think there was like screenplays and stuff that explained Rebecca. So it just kind of sucks that Rebecca didn't get one. But yeah, you get epilogues for all of them, and you can learn exactly what all these characters are doing. And a lot of things that happen in these epilogues do set up a lot of future games, or they introduce us characters that will also be in future games. Because like when it comes to Barry, we literally see his 2 daughters, and that's literally Barry's daughter that we get to play in Revelations 2. So a lot of these have connections to other games, and they set up other games, or you have future games that literally took some of the things that happened in these epilogues and put in those games. So that's one of the cool things about these epilogues. Now, one of the other thing, of course, was Mercenaries, and this was like the first game that introduced Mercenaries, and the Mercenaries in this game is pretty fun to do, but it can be very challenging. This video has gone on long enough, but I just got to say this real quick. Why is it every time that Resident Evil 3 gets some type of new adaptation that is always bad? Because in Umbrella Chronicles, it is ass. That is not RE3. That's literally them just taking Jill and Carlos and putting them on outbreak levels, because the end of that game they literally leave from the RPD, and there's no iconic like places from like Resident Evil 3 in there, and that was very lazy. And especially like when you go to Dark Side Chronicles, and it literally has everything for RE2. Of course, in like Umbrella Chronicles in general is very lazy because it just uses all the assets from games they had. So it was a very lazy game, but at the same time they did RE3 so goddamn dirty in that. And then when it comes to RE3 remake, that's not even RE3. That's literally just, you know, reimagined of RE3, just using all the characters and monsters. I mean, almost all the monsters, really just Nemesis in that game. Yes, there's some good things in that game, but there's a lot of bad. There are some characters that are better, like Tyrell is really good in that game. There are some things they add, like at the very beginning of that game when it comes to like Jill having nightmares. That was something that was planned to be originally in like RE3, but like that was cool that we got that in the remake, but majority of that remake is not good. It's an okay Resident Evil game, but a very terrible Resident Evil 3 remake. They cut out so much content, and it also cut out like everything that made the original RE3 like special, and that's one of the problems with that remake. Now, I have a whole video where I talk about that, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about that remake, because everybody and their mama has talked about that remake, and it's like beating a dead horse at this point. Everybody knows that it's not a good remake, but it's a okay Resident Evil game. When it comes to the remake, one of the things I always just picture this remake as is like when Jill's in the chapel in the original RE3, this is literally what she's dreaming, like the whole time she's knocked out that whole day. It's literally her just dreaming that whole remake. That's how I think of the remake. It's literally just Jill dreaming about it, and that's her in her dream just playing this nightmare version of RE3, in my opinion, though. But Resident Evil 3 will always be my favorite Resident Evil game, and I go back to this game so goddamn much. And I'm so happy that this game is finally on PlayStation, that so many different people that have not experienced the original can finally play this game, and they can finally realize why this game is so good. And to me, this is the best game out of the original trilogy. And people that played the remake can finally learn why so many people were upset with this game, because they're finally be able to finally play the original. But yes, RE3 remake, a phenomenal game, and I love this game so much, and it's still my favorite game in the franchise. But just let me know, how do you feel about RE3? And if you enjoyed the video, why not like? If you didn't, you could dislike, subscribe, you really enjoyed. But yes, RE3, phenomenal game.
Wait, I have to ask you something.
I know. You want to ask me out? All the foxy ladies love my accent. It drives them crazy.